Welcome to Noxium, where police power meets public accountability.
This episode is brought to us by Yardley Ski Auditing. Be sure to check the link below, subscribe to his channel, and give him the credit he deserves. In this episode, Auditor Yardley Ski is outside Folkestone Police Station carrying out a routine audit when an inspector storms out, claiming he is on private property. Despite there being no clear signage or any indication of restricted access, Yardley chooses to play it safe, steps back behind the gate onto public land and continues filming. But that is when the situation escalates. Two undertrained officers arrive and, instead of respecting the law, begin throwing out every excuse they can to push him away. Yardley stands his ground, calmly defends his rights, and ultimately ends up being unlawfully arrested. The outcome, HNK solicitors took on the case.
Okay, so you are?
I'm Inspector Creed. I'm perfectly happy with you filming. No
Fine.
problem with you filming whatsoever.
Cool.
It's just the fact that you're on the police premises here.
Yeah,
and
but
we do ask the public to remain on the public
there's no
area.
signage. There's no signage. There's nothing blocking me
Well, you've
from
just
stopping
come-
me from walking round.
Well, there is a barrier there.
Yeah, that's for
and there's
cars.
a fence there.
That's for cars. I didn't jump over anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything I can help you with at all?
Yeah, you can stop abusing my rights and let me film. That's what you
I'm
said.
not stopping you filming.
Okay, then.
No
well,
problem with you filming
Well, I
at
can
all.
film in the car park. There's nothing stopping me from filming in the car park.
As part of our insurance reasons, as well as the security of the site, we don't allow members of the public on here. So that's why I'm asking you to leave and move out onto the public area. You can either go out here or you can go onto the public access area there. It's entirely up to you.
The very first move from the inspector is to accuse Yardley of being on private police premises, but Yardley immediately exposes how weak that claim is. He points out the obvious. There is no signage, no warning, nothing to indicate the land is restricted. In law, if the public are not clearly informed that an area is private, they cannot be treated as trespassers. Access restrictions must be made clear, not left to vague assumptions. When the inspector attempts to rely on the presence of a barrier, Yardley challenges this again, pointing out that it is a vehicle barrier, not one intended for pedestrians, and that he did not climb over anything to gain entry. That distinction is crucial. Walking through an open, unmarked space is lawful. Trespass only arises when someone knowingly enters an area where they are prohibited. In this case, the inspector had nothing to support that claim. Now, in the video, Yardley moves behind the gate to the area the inspector confirmed was acceptable for filming, but he is then confronted by two hostile officers.
Do your job first.
Well, I'm doing my job.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Step away, go away, get lost. I'm not listening to you. Do not talk to me. Listen, stop talking to me. No, I'm not going to listen to you. And if you touch me, right, that's going to be an assault as well. So just, look, you've got your hands up. You've got your hands up. Right, so excuse out of my way, please. Excuse out of my way. Excuse out of my way.
You can film.
Oh, listen to me. Please get out of my way.
You can't film
Please
in
get
this
out
part
of
the
my
building.
way. Get
Because it's
out
an
of my
implied right
way.
of access by the Chief
Let me
Constable.
let
The
me
Chief
pass.
Constable holds the right
Oh.
to restrict your access. Okay, you're more than welcome to film on the public bits, but we can't have you filming by the gate, obviously, because it's got a keypad. Okay, which is a private
I'm not listening to
access.
you what you're saying. You're just
You
talking.
are.
No, I'm not. You're talking
you
to yourself,
can't
and I'm
film
going
in
forward.
private.
And
Film
I'm going
there.
forward. Do not
film
listen. You're standing right in front of me.
I am saying, I'm
Right.
not
So
gonna
I'm.
do that.
Why not?
Because it's an
It's been
implied right of
explained to
access.
you.
No,
We have the
listen.
right
I've
to
got.
remove
I've got. No. I've
We have the
got.
right
I've got
to
a right
remove
of
you.
access. I've been told. Okay,
Okay.
by an
Yeah, you
inspector. By an
Yeah.
inspector.
And this right of
Okay.
access is now being revoked.
No,
We're now
we'll go and
asking
get an
you to move
inspector
off
to
of-
revoke it because I've been told
We're
that I've
asking
been
you to
told
move
by an
off-
inspector that I
I
can
don't need
film
an
here.
inspector. I don't need an
No,
inspector.
well, I've been told that I can film here.
What I am happy
I've
to
been
do
told. No.
is
Listen.
talk to you about what's upsetting you.
Nothing. Well, you're upsetting me because you're not doing your job. He just went and threatened me.
Right, but the reason I hear...
No. He just went and threatened me.
The officers attempt to push Yardley back from the gate, despite the fact that he is standing firmly on public land. One officer incorrectly claims that implied right of access gives them the authority to remove him. That is entirely false. Implied access applies only to members of the public entering private property for a lawful purpose, such as approaching a residence. It does not apply to an individual standing on public ground, meaning the officers had no legal power to move him on. Yardley points out that the inspector had already confirmed he was permitted to stand there, which should have brought the matter to a close. Instead, the officer escalates the situation further by claiming that this right has now been revoked. Only the landowner or a person with proper authority can revoke access, and in this case, Yardley was not even on private land to begin with. For the officer to then state that he does not require an inspector's authorization only highlights how misguided and reckless his approach was.
He just went and threatened me. So you're telling me somebody can threaten you anywhere, but all you're worrying about is me not filming in a place
At
of...
the moment, yes.
Yeah. Why?
Correct.
Who started the initial crime? Who initially evoked a crime?
At the moment, I'm here because you're here.
No.
Filming in a place you're
Well, you
not allowed
shouldn't
to
be.
film.
You should be after that guy first because he's getting away. Who is he?
At the moment, I
Who's
don't
that
know.
bloke?
I don't know.
Why don't you know that?
Because I don't work with him.
So how are you going to find him?
Look, you've got CCTV. I'll identify
Okay.
that, okay?
Oh, you will.
What I'm more concerned about at the moment...
No, I'm not going nowhere. I've been
So
told
you
that I
can't
can film it. I can.
You can, but you
I can
can't
film
film
it.
here.
I can film it. No, and I'm telling you that I've been told by an inspector that I can film here. Okay, Inspector Creed. Okay? Now, off you go, because this is what he said, okay? I can film here. So unless another inspector comes down and wants to tell me that, no, I'm not going to take it from you.
I have the right to
No.
tell you can't film.
No, you're not going to supersede the inspector because he told me that I can film here.
From
All
my
right?
sergeant and from my inspector.
No.
I've been told
Which inspector?
inside-
Who's the inspector?
Inspector Cutter.
Okay, where's Inspector Cutter?
He's in the building.
Okay, we'll go and get Inspector Cutter to
Not
come
at
out
the
and tell me.
moment, 'cause I'm asking you.
No, and I'm politely
Politely.
refusing, and I'm
Politely.
declining because I've
Politely
already been
decline.
told by Inspector Creed that I can film here. So
And we have
I don't believe
have
you.
the right
I don't believe
to
you.
overrule that.
I don't believe you.
The exchange highlights just how far these officers were willing to distort the facts. Yardley repeatedly points out that an inspector had already confirmed he could film from that location, which should have brought the matter to a close. However, the officer claims that another inspector had said Yardley could not film, yet refuses to produce that inspector when requested. Then when Yardley again refers to Inspector Creed confirming he was permitted to film, the officer responds, "We have the right to overrule that. This is incorrect on every level. A constable cannot overrule an inspector. The rank structure does not operate in that way, and the law certainly does not bend to individual opinion. Filming in public is lawful, and no officer has the authority to override that, regardless of their rank."
Anyway, do you know something? You're trying to talk, right? And I've already told you. No. It's not that you're making sense or not. I've already told you that I'm not allowing you to talk simply because I want you to do something which you haven't done. So therefore, by you carrying on with your waffle, right, I'm giving you that opportunity to talk. But I'm not going to give you that opportunity to talk, so I'm going to stop you right there. When an inspector comes out, yeah, then he can tell me that. I'll tell him that what Inspector Creed says. We'll have that discussion there. Because as far as I'm concerned, yeah, I have been given, right, the right to film here. And no, I'm not talking to you no more. I'm telling you, right? I've just told you.
But why let's have a conversation?
Don't worry about it, all
I don't
right?
understand why you're being
Because
so-
I want you to go and sort out this first thing. You're not doing it. You're not doing your job. You're standing there, wasting time, my time, your time, everybody's time.
What I don't,
Right.
what's the reason for filming it? That's what I don't can, but what's the reason?
Well, it'll be a bit hard to draw stuff, so I've got the camera out.
Now, on the body-worn camera footage, the same two officers return to Yardley and begin threatening him with the grounds on which they will arrest him if he refuses to leave.
What I'm saying to you, okay, all we need to know, or what we're happy with you doing, is filming, obviously, outside of the more public areas. That's absolutely fine. Don't stop you doing that, okay? All we ask that under Section 68 of the Criminal Justice Public Order Act 1994, okay, is not to film.
Are you detaining me?
Not at the moment.
Are you giving me a caution? Stop telling me to
I'll
listen.
give you a warning.
Stop. No. Are you cautioning me?
I'm not cautioning you.
Well then, I don't want to hear no section, nothing. Am I doing anything wrong?
It's just
Am I doing anything wrong?
Yes,
No.
it's
Am I doing anything wrong?
When you were
Am I
filming-
doing anything
filming
wrong?
registration plates, you're doing something wrong.
Listen. Don't tell me that I was filming registrations plates, okay? Get some concrete evidence and then come and start telling me all these things. Otherwise,
I've never said
go
that.
away. You keep on, you just
I
did.
I've said it under that section.
Under what section? The section what? Doing what?
Is if you begin to start filming registration plates, keypads, people coming in and out of the building, it's obstructing the day-to-day business.
No, it's not. I'm not
Okay.
obstructing anybody, and I can stand in. Get lost.
Yeah,
Do you know something? I can stand in a public place and I can film whatever I want.
Yeah. And we can arrest you for aggravating trespass. Okay? Yes, we can.
Get lost. You can't.
Yeah, we can, and we will do if you carry on.
Section 68 makes it an offence to trespass on private land with the intention of disrupting or obstructing lawful activity. Yardley's situation could not have been further from that. He was on public ground, filming quietly and not obstructing anyone. Filming registration plates is not illegal. They are displayed in public by law. To suggest that Section 68 applied in this case demonstrated a serious lack of understanding of the legislation. However, rather than stepping back, the officers doubled down. When Yardley went back inside to lodge a complaint, just 5 minutes later, the same 2 officers entered and arrested him under Section 68.
Do these questions relevant?
Oh, just curious to know how to treat you, what your experience is and what you may or may not know.
I'm not somebody who gets myself into trouble.
Okay, no, that's fine. Right, well, long story short, I'm a classic sergeant, so it's my job to look after you here, and I'm sure you're dealt with fairly as well.
Okay.
To that end, I'm going to ask obviously a few questions to find out why you're here, and I've got some questions for you, see how you're doing physically and mentally.
Okay.
Bearing in mind when I ask the officers about why you're here, that is them explaining why they've done what they've done. That's not an allegation to you for you to sort of necessarily reply to, okay? Because otherwise we'll end up in a conversation, I suspect.
Oh, yeah.
Yardley's arrest under Section 68 was not simply dismissed, it ended up costing the force thousands. Meanwhile, Yardley himself walked away with £1,500 in damages. The real impact is revealed in the breakdown: over £2,000 in council's fees, court costs, and nearly £5,000 in additional expenses, all accumulating to close to £10,000 once VAT is included. And who pays? Not the officers who misrepresented their powers. Not those who carried out the unlawful arrest, but the taxpayer. The public is left covering the cost of officers who failed to apply the law correctly. That is the added insult to the injury. When police misuse their powers, it is not them who face the consequences, it is the public. What makes it even more concerning is that the entire legal battle was completely avoidable. If the officers had adhered to the facts rather than acting on ego, there would have been no lawsuit, no settlement, and no waste of public funds. Instead, they persisted with an arrest that had no lawful basis, forcing the matter into court where it ultimately collapsed. Settlement became the only viable option for the force, as defending an indefensible position would have resulted in even greater costs. This is what happens when officers begin to believe their authority outweighs the law. Sooner or later, the law prevails. Yardley was not trespassing, he was standing on public land, openly filming. The level of misunderstanding demonstrated by the officers was so severe that it crossed into misconduct. The arrest itself exposed their mindset. Yardley returned inside to lodge a complaint, as he was fully entitled to do, and within minutes those same officers placed him in handcuffs. Nothing had changed in that 5-minute window. No offence had been committed, other than Yardley challenging their authority. That makes the arrest retaliatory, not lawful, and it undermines any claim that their actions were about maintaining order. The financial consequences only deepen the issue. The force had no choice but to settle, paying Yardley compensation alongside thousands in legal costs. Once again, it was not the officers who bore the burden, it was the public. Every taxpayer contributed to resolving a situation created by poor judgment and unlawful policing. That is funding that could have supported legitimate policing efforts, instead wasted on defending conduct that should never have occurred. What this episode ultimately demonstrates is how fragile effective policing becomes when proper procedure is replaced by emotion. At every stage, Yardley remained calm, rational, and within the law, while the officers moved from one error to another until frustration led to an unlawful arrest. In the end, Yardley did not just succeed in court, he demonstrated on camera that when officers overstep their powers, it is not the law that shields them, but the public who ends up paying for their mistakes. That concludes today's video. If you found this episode informative, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps continue independent coverage like this. Also, be sure to check out Yardley Ski, his channel is linked in the description. Show him your support. Thank you for watching.